Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The Karnataka government's draft bill proposing reservations for locals in private companies sparks a backlash from industry. State Minister Priyank Kharge says inputs from departments of industries and IT is yet to be sought. Adds the state government will listen to industry feedback. India is the best long-term equity market in the world, says Chris Wood of Jefferies. Adds foreigners are remarkably underinvested in India. That's an exclusive. Asian Paints reports a subdued first quarter. Profits and margins miss estimates even as volume growth is in line with expectations. Supreme Court Judge Hima Kohli raises concerns over the draft digital competition bill. Red flags wider definitions, arbitrary application of thresholds and the high cost of compliance. The Chief Financial Officer of SpiceJet, Ashish Kumar, resigns less than 2 years into the job to pursue other opportunities. The Deputy CFO, Joykesh Podar, takes over. Republican Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, who were once aspirants for the White House, endorsed Donald Trump unequivocally at the party convention. Trump is scheduled to speak tomorrow after accepting the nomination. Well, straight to the big story this evening. A draft bill approved by the Karnataka State Cabinet mandating reservations for locals in private companies has sparked a significant backlash. Now, the proposed legislation reserves 50% jobs for locals at the management level and 70% at the non-management level. This will apply to all companies across sectors. The bill has set out a criteria for who will be considered a local. Anyone born in Karnataka and has a domicile for 15 years will be eligible. The person must be able to speak, write and read Kannada. Companies will get a relaxation of up to 25% for management jobs if they are unable to find suitable candidates. Now, this threshold goes up to 50% for non-management jobs. A state government officer will need to sign off on these relaxations for companies. Industry leaders in Karnataka have criticized the bill. They've asked the state government to reconsider and provide caveats for highly skilled recruitment. Karnataka's IT Minister Priyank Kharge has said that inputs from the Department of Industries and IT has not been sought yet, and the government will listen to feedback from industry. Now, states like Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand have similar laws to ensure reservation for locals in private jobs. In fact, the Haryana government enacted a law last year which was struck down by the Punjab and Haryana High Court. The court had called the law unconstitutional and ruled that it is beyond the state's purview to restrict recruitment from the open market. The court has also asserted that one state cannot discriminate against citizens from other states of India. The Haryana government has moved the Supreme Court against the High Court's order. Now, the jobs challenge is real. Just today, we saw chaotic scenes at the Mumbai airport. 25,000 candidates turning up for 1,800 vacancies at the Air India Airport Services Limited. This job is for ground handling services at a salary of 22,000 rupees a month. So, as state governments and the centre grapple with the task of job creation, we ask if reservations for local will do more harm than good. We will discuss this with the panel of our guests in just a bit. But first up, reactions to the draft bill proposed by the Karnataka government. Take a look.
मैनेजमेंट के तौर पे 50% लोगों को रिजर्वेशन देने की बात हुई है और नॉन मैनेजमेंट लेवल में 70% लोगों को काम देने की बात हुई है. सरकार ये नहीं कि हम इंडस्ट्री को बहुत ज़ोर से करना चाहते. यदि वो उस तरह का स्किल यदि अवेलेबल नहीं है वो बाहर से भी लेके आके वो लोगों को यहाँ काम दे सकते हैं. बट जब लोकली यहाँ स्किल अवेलेबल है उनको प्रेफरेंस करना करके सरकार की एक नया कानून लेके आने की कोशिश कर रही है.
The bill has been brought in by the Labour Department. They are yet to consult with the industry, the Minister of Industry and with Department of Information Technology. I'm sure that before coming up with the rules of the bill, they will have due consultations with the respective ministries and more importantly, a wider consultation with the industry. So there is no need to panic. We are going to safeguard the jobs for the state as well as encourage investments in the industries with their consultation.
We do have an employment exchange. It is mandatory for each and every company to make all the recruitment through the employment exchange. Why the government is not pushing for it? And we have many other policies, employment policies and PLI policy. Through all this thing we can ensure whoever has been displaced, whoever has been affected, whoever wants job, they can all be provided with this job. Being a very progressive state, we need to keep up with that tag, keep up with that name. just to cover up their political scandal. This ineffective government, this shameless government is time and again is working against the interest of Karnataka.
The bill is illegal, unconstitutional, and shows a very bad mindset of this particular government. They have not done anything for Bangalore, despite having so much of money, giving away money, taxpayers' monies by freebies. Now they're trying to destroy the economy and destroy job creation. The bill is draconian. Can you have a government nominee recruitment committee? Do they own the business? Do they run the business? What do these people think? I don't know. How can they even think of this, draft this kind of a draconian law?
Well, backlash coming in there. Joining us now to discuss the Karnataka government's draft bill is the president of NASSCOM, Debjani Ghosh, the CEO of Team Leads, Ramesh Alluri Reddy, and the senior advocate Akshay Ban, who argued for the Faridabad Industry Association, whose petition led to the striking down of the Haryana reservation law by the High Court. Debjani, gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Debjani, to you first. NASSCOM has put out a statement, of course, pretty much mirroring what we just heard there from Mohandas Pai, calling this move by the Karnataka government draconian, calling it ill-conceived and ill-thought of. Now, Debjani, what is the key concern? At this point in time, the IT Minister Priyank Kharge, as we just heard, said that, look, there is no reason to panic, in his words, that we are still open for consultation. But the fact is that this has gone through Cabinet's approval. What's the chief concern that industry has, specifically the IT industry?
See, the industry is built on talent. Skills, it's our biggest competitive differentiator. And today, globally, there is severe shortage of skilled talent. Same applies for India. Same applies for every single state in India. There is tremendous skill shortage. Today, every state, every country is trying to figure out how to become that magnet to attract the best talent while it builds its own talent pool, right? And businesses are very clear, we will go where the talent is. It's very, very clear. If you look at how businesses are selecting locations, selecting countries, states within a country, the first preference is, or the first criteria they're looking at is, where is the current talent pool? Now, something like this in a state or any state, given the kind of talent shortage, is sort of, it just doesn't make sense, Shireen. It's like a self-call. It really doesn't make sense, because when you say you cannot have access to the kind of talent that you need, you're basically telling industry that we are not going to support you. And that is very strange coming from Karnataka, which has been the home of the IT industry, right? And so I'm glad that Minister Kharge has come out and said that there will be consultations. We need to do it very fast, and we need to send the right message out, because the IT industry needs talent. It's good talent. It's nothing else matters.
Yes, urgent intervention and course correction is what NASSCOM has sought from the Karnataka government. But Mr. Reddy, let me come to you now. You know, what we are seeing in different states, and the Karnataka government is also trying to ensure that there is job creation for locals, for those who are domiciled in Karnataka. But actually what we're hearing from industry is that this is going to have the absolute opposite impact. This is going to deter future investments. This is going to deter incremental investments by existing investors, because nobody wants the government to meddle with key decisions of who you should hire, how you should hire, the government signing off on crucial decisions. So isn't this going to have the absolute opposite impact of what the government is hoping to do, which is more job creation for locals?
No, absolutely. So I think I'll answer your question in a slightly different way. So I'll tell you what are the biggest problems which are plaguing the industry today. Today, the biggest problem for entry-level talent is productivity. The reason is our education system is extremely qualification-based, and like Debjani said, skills are not really built. So that's the biggest problem with our education system. So what happens as a fallout is the industry has to train people for almost up to 1 year before they get even productive. That's the first problem. The second problem is, after you train the person, are you guaranteed that the person is going to stay with you? Look at the attrition rates. So you're not able to first attract talent. Second, you're not able to retain the talent. And I'll just give you an example of AI, because Karnataka is the center house for all the artificial intelligence and the technology space. Today, there are 6,25,000 jobs on the AI front. But today, we have only 4 lakh people who are trained from an artificial intelligence perspective. So there's a gap of 2,25,000 people. Now, is this bill in any way going to help solve any of these problems? I wouldn't think so. So I would think that the government should really look at how they can incentivize skilling, how they should look at ensuring the entry-level talent can become better, can become more productive. And that will really address the issues which the industry is plaguing. And we more than welcome that if locals are also trained and if based on merit, if they are able to take the jobs, that's perfect. But I don't think this bill by itself really calls for any of the industries.
Yes, the employability issue that you raise is a genuine one and has been on the table for a while now. In fact, many CEOs that I've been speaking to have pegged the skills gap as one of the key concerns that industry is faced with today. Akshay Bhan, let me come to you and, a disclosure. We're not related in any form or fashion, but Mr. Bhan, let's address this issue of what has actually happened as far as the matter with the Haryana government's law is concerned, which was struck down by the Punjab and Haryana High Court, calling it unconstitutional. The court essentially saying that you cannot create a wall around a state, you cannot discriminate against other Indians. But we're seeing now a flurry of state governments trying to do exactly the same. What do you believe will now need to be done? The Punjab matter, the Haryana matter is now with the Supreme Court. What is the message that you believe states are taking away from each other as they formulate these laws, even though you've got a High Court order which basically calls it out as being unconstitutional?
Shireen, ultimately what is happening is, see, political considerations apart. Time and again, we've seen that these laws keep on being enacted by state governments. And it actually needs to be put a stop to, because what we are doing is now, we are actually working against the constitutional framework. We bring in regionalism. We are actually going against the mandate of the Constitution. The Constitution does not provide the state government with the power to make any such reservations, especially in the employment sector. But what we've seen is successively this has been done. The reason is you challenge it, ultimately take it to before the Honorable Supreme Court and see whether it's a chance being taken by every state government. We faced this problem in Haryana. We argued the matter. We got the judgment from the Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court, which reasoned it out and said, see the law which has been crystallized. Please read the Constitution. There are things which you can do and there are things which are completely prohibited. See, what the law does is, now what you are doing is basically, it's not only employment, you are taking away a person's right to move around freely in the country. I want to go and settle in Bangalore. I want to take up a job there. How can you prevent me from going there and residing there, from taking up that job there? There is nothing which is being done. It's something, we have a concept. This is pan-India. It has to happen within the constitutional framework. The only power which is vested is with the central government. Parliament alone has any power, and that too also is on the touchstone of reasonableness, arbitrariness, so many factors which come. The only exception was carved out was post PA in Ahmedabad, when the Honorable Supreme Court said that even for educational institutions, no reservation can be there. The Constitution itself had to be amended to bring that within the ambit, and stating it will not be violative of the constitutional scheme of the country. So time and again we are saying this is happening, and no, this cannot be done. The state government does not have the power. It is not vested with this power under the constitutional scheme of the country. So this
and perhaps it will have to come down to the Supreme Court to send out that message. Absolutely. To send out that message loud and clear that this is a violation of the Constitution. It's particularly a violation of Article 14 and 19, as Akshay Bhan was pointing out. But Devjani, this is again, as I pointed out, this is not just a Karnataka-specific problem. Karnataka is the latest flare-up. There are other states, as Akshay Bhan was also articulating there, that are trying to do exactly the same thing and have attempted to do exactly the same thing, even though there is a court order now saying this is a violation, but then you're appealing that order in the Supreme Court. As a domestic investor, and more importantly as a foreign investor, here is the hope and the aspiration of drawing in foreign direct investment, of becoming not just the services hub but the manufacturing hub of the world, etc. What's the message that we send out with moves like this?
See, Shireen, we really have to realize that the competition is not inside India, but the competition is outside India. And we are completely forgetting that. We need to play the bigger game here. If you look at the current global shortage, by 2030, we are going to be some 85 million people short globally. That's a Korn Ferry estimate, but there are lots of estimates all around that number, right? We're going to be close to around 85 million to 100 million short globally. Currently, every country has a shortage of talent, including India. By 2030, the only country that has the potential to have a talent surplus is India. But in order to reach that state, we have to play the game right. It has to be about one nation, one talent. It cannot be one state competing with another. In that case, investors and companies will see this and they are going to lose confidence, not just in the state, but what's happening in India. And don't forget, our competition is growing more aggressive by the day. There are, Saudi and the Southeast Asian countries and European countries. Everybody is vying for the investments that's going to come in now. Because let's not forget, the tech investments that has come in till now is minuscule compared to what is going to come in the next few years thanks to AI. So everybody is vying for this. Everybody is investing in talent, not just development, but visa reforms, etc., to bring in the right talent, right? So we really have to play the game a little differently, where we have to stop competing with each other. We have to understand the big picture that we are competing with other countries. Tremendous opportunity for India to attract the investments in the next 10 years or so. If we can become that talent nation, the talent hub, we can only do that by playing a consolidated game in having one national strategy for building talent. And if states invest in the right things, if we invest in the right education reforms, if we invest in building the right skills, we won't need to have reservations or any such policies. Of course, a company will want to hire locally because it saves us tons of cost if the talent is available.
Locally,
Of course, we want to hire locally. Why are we not doing that? I think that's the question we have to answer.
Yes, and that was the point that Mr. Reddy was making. Mr. Reddy, very quickly, as we look at the road ahead, and I want to, for the benefit of Devjani, Akshay Bhan, and you bring up a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. In fact, Chris Wood, the global investor and strategist, speaking to us this morning, said that while India is the best long-term equity market in the world, he's also concerned about the impact as far as AI is concerned. And, when market veteran Ramesh Damani asked Chris Wood that in an AI era, what could it potentially mean from a jobs perspective? Chris Wood saying that, look, to his mind, plumbing is a better option than programming today. So Devjani and Ramesh Alluri, I want to get your take on that. That's not a flippant comment that he's making, but it's a serious challenge. Ramesh Alluri, I'll start with you.
I think plumbing is the answer because, see, the International Labour Organization also says that 85 million jobs will get displaced because of AI. Now, at the same time, 97 million new jobs are going to get created. So more jobs will get created, but mind you, all the 85 plus the 12 million have to get reskilled or retrained. So that's the challenge. Now, if you look at what is the shortage, I told you the shortage is already 2 lakhs today, and we expect that by 2026, the gap between the demand in AI and what is available is going to cross 1 million. So 10 lakhs will be the gap. So how do we bridge this gap? See, the biggest challenge today industry is facing is productivity. Now, are people willing to get skilled? Now, people are also not willing to get skilled unless they are sure about getting a job or they are sure about continuity in their current jobs. So these are the challenges, and educational institutes which offer these trainings are not really connected with the industry. So they do not know. So how do we get all these forces together? The industry, the student, or the employee who has to get trained, and the education. So I think from an entry-level talent, you need to look at it. You need to look at it at senior talent. You need to look at innovative people supply chain solutions like degree apprenticeship, which we offer. So those would be the things which we really need to ensure that this plumbing takes place. Otherwise, we'll have a big deficit from an AI perspective.
Yes, and we need to address the skills issue as well as the jobs issue, not as two different silos, but as a whole. But Akshay Bhan, you said we need to put a stop to this. Now, the only way perhaps of doing that is for the Supreme Court to weigh in on this. And do you believe that this is something now the court should take up with a sense of urgency?
Definitely, Shireen, because otherwise, you see, it's already been there in 3 states. One state, we have a decision which has come in. There are other states which are approaching. And to borrow the terms from the judgment, this regional chauvinism has to be ended someplace. It cannot carry on like this. Time and again, we are, wasting more time addressing this issue rather than concentrating on the real problems as are being highlighted by the co-panelists. That's a market perspective, industry perspective, take the employer's perspective, take the employee's perspective. But the legal challenge to all this is this has to be put a stop to. It cannot be made a tool to be played around with, because ultimately you end up playing with everybody. You're playing with the industry, you're playing with the employee, you're playing with the system, you're playing with the law. So someplace you will have to have a stop to it. And you need to have a finality to it, whichever way. But that's for the court's discretion to be exercised.
Right. We need finality and we need clarity as far as this issue is concerned, because as our panelists are saying that this is now starting to have an impact on investor sentiment, and it's not just one state. There are many states, irrespective of political parties, irrespective of political ideologies, different political parties are taking measures to try and prove the point that Akshay Bhan was making of ensuring that we do have regional chauvinism when the need of the hour is, in Debjani Ghosh's words, to have one nation, one talent strategy. Debjani Ghosh, Ramesh Alluri Reddy and Akshay Bhan, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18 on a very crucial issue that the central government, the state government and industry will need to grapple with. Well, on to the big earnings of the day. Asian Paints reporting a disappointing set of numbers for the first quarter, with revenue, profit and margins missing estimates. This is coming on the back of subdued demand due to the general elections and the heat wave. Net profit down by nearly 25% on a yearly basis to 1,180 crore rupees. Revenue stood below 9,000 crore rupees and margins touched 19%. However, domestic volume growth of 7% was in line with CNBC-TV18's poll of 6 to 9%. SpiceJet's Chief Financial Officer and Head of Finance Ashish Kumar has resigned from the company. Following this, SpiceJet has appointed Joykesh Poddar as the Deputy CFO and the Head of Finance. Poddar is a chartered accountant with experience spanning over 30 years. Bajaj Electricals Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Anuj Poddar has resigned from the post. He will move on from the company on the 30th of September. Poddar has been the architect of Bajaj Electricals' overhaul and turnaround. The company's chairman, Shekhar Bajaj, will take over the responsibilities during the transition period following this exit. On to CNBC-TV18 exclusive. India is the best long-term equity market in the world, says Chris Wood of Jefferies. Speaking at the CNBC-TV18 market town hall ahead of the budget, Wood said foreigners are remarkably underinvested in India. Take a look.
India is the only stock market I'm aware of right now where the small mid-cap sector is doing way better than big caps. Absolutely unique. And it's driven by this domestic phenomenon. This is not replicated in any other market right now. India is the best long-term equity market in the world. Clearly, the US has done fantastically well. But in the emerging market Asian context, yeah, India to me remains the great domestic demand story. You have this very emerging equity culture. But what, as you rightly have just highlighted, is amazing is the dynamism of the local asset management industry and the growing retail participation. And actually everybody, I've been in Mumbai 2 days, everybody from the financial industry, I think, is staggered by the resilience of the market following the surprise election result.
Well, that's a bullish Chris Wood on India. Now, less than a week to go for the budget. India Inc. is hoping the government will continue to expand capital expenditure while adhering to fiscal consolidation. FICCI is calling for capex to be hiked by 25% and a status quo on corporate tax rates. The industry body is also batting for revamping the GST. It's calling for a 3-slab structure to ensure smoother operations of input tax credit regime as well.
We are hoping for a continuation of the development-focused agenda. We've been very fortunate that over the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen a very strong development-focused agenda. CapEx growth from the government has been significantly increased. It was up 37% last year.
We hope that they will continue to do the capital investments that they have been doing. We hope to see an increase in capex plans because of the multiplier effect that comes in, employment generation that happens, as well as impact on manufacturing because of improvement in logistics, etc., that come in. So I think that is one big expectation as a result of the investment that is there. Second is, I think that employment generation will be a top priority for the government.
Well, industry's wish list for the budget, the big global story. Republican Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, who were once aspirants for the White House, have endorsed Donald Trump unequivocally at the party convention. Trump is scheduled to speak tomorrow after accepting the nomination.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Let's send Joe Biden back to his basement and let's send Donald Trump back to the White House. Life was more affordable when Donald Trump was president. Our border was safer under the Trump administration, and our country was respected when Donald Trump was our commander-in-chief.
Well, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis there endorsing Donald Trump. And before we wrap, JSW and MG Motor India set to launch 5 new cars in the next 15 months. Speaking with my colleague Parikshit Luthra, Rajiv Chhabra, the CEO Emeritus of JSW MG Motor India joint venture, said he's optimistic about the upcoming festive season. Take a look.
Already approved 5 products in such a short time of 4 months. And the 3 mass segment products and 2 premium products, and we are going to launch that in the next 15-16 months. So that's a great news. So most of the growth should come from the new products. Also, at the same point of time, I would say that we are doing pretty well on our existing portfolio, especially the 2 EVs, ZS EV and Comet. I'm happy to say that in the last quarter, where the industry was doing 2-3% more than more similar period last time, our EV sales went up by 35%.
Well, that's Rajiv Chhabra. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news will continue here on CNBC-TV18.